Thank you for watching. On today's episode, we will be making a prime rib roast in the oven. You can choose to use the grill, a smoker, or other means if you choose so. We start by setting the oven at 225 and letting it warm up. Then we go to our prime rib, which has been coming up to room temperature, and we unpackage it and begin to remove the excess fat, but you want to leave some of the fat on there for juice. Now, you can leave the bones on it if you choose so. I like to remove the bones while leaving as much of the meat on as possible, and then I wrap it in string and tie it tightly into a circle. That way it cooks evenly, leaving the center just very super tender. If you cook it this way, sometimes it cooks unevenly because the bones take a lot longer to cook. So the meat down at that end can be raw, and while the other end can be overcooked. That's why I choose to cut the bones off. And then you can just cook them in a pan separately or whatever you choose to. So you can use them for soups. You can even give them to the dog if you don't like them, which I don't know why you would, but to each his own. Alright, so as you see here, we're cutting off the bones. Go on the knuckle end of the ribs. And once you have that off, you can set that aside, or you can season it with the main roast at the same time. The bones, you have the main meat. Make sure there's no bone fragments in there. We're good to go. Now, most people say leave the fat on, but that's an old man's tale because men love the delicious flavor of the fat. So leave some fat on, but the excess fat you can take off because fat does not mix in with watery muscle, and most the meat itself is mostly water, so fat's not going to cook into it. It might give it flavor. You're going to leave some on it for the flavor, but it's not going to cook into it. It's just going to be a nuisance when you go to eat it. You have to cut all the fat off. Also, when you want the seasoning, you want to be able to taste that delicious crispy bark. Some spots you can just peel it back a little bit to make it easier. You want to taste that delicious crispy bark, and if you put the seasoning on the fat, you're not going to taste it. It's not going to go into the meat, and you're going to end up pulling it off when it comes time to eat it, so you wasted all that seasoning. All that good real estate on your meat. Take your time. You can do it without scoring the body to the actual rib itself. Prime rib. Sometimes the veins go really deep, like this one's going real deep down. So I'm just going to cut a piece. Ooh, see? I went too deep. So we'll just cut that off and have it as a little piece of a little appetizer. I'm going to move this big piece off out of the way, so we get an idea what we're doing here. Okay, that's why I say it goes down real deep on this side. I mean, there's still a lot more fat on here, but I'm going to leave that for flavoring. I'm just taking off these gigantically hard chunks of fat that are just going to hinder more than help. Alrighty. That looks pretty good. As you can see from the side, we got most of it off, but we're going to leave this one right here so we get something to chew on. Alright, now what we're going to do is you want to make it round so that when you cook it, it cooks even. So see how it's now round instead of flat and oval? Give it a nice round shape. Alright, so usually you have two people helping you, but right now everyone's at work. So we're going to tie this up with string to keep it in that round shape, and then we'll season it. I'm going to go a step farther. I'm going to put some garlics in there. Alright, here we have some fresh rosemary. So I'm going to sprinkle this right in here. And some dried sage. You can use fresh too, but I just have this handy, so I'm going to use some dried. I'm going to try something new this time and use 2 bay leaves. Sprinkle a little bit of garlic in there. A little bit of meat tenderizer. Alright. I'm going to keep that up or fold it like almost like a hoagie. It stays in there. There we go, nice. And like I said, you want to keep it round. So now we have this going around. Now we can tighten our rope around it. Ooh, stay in there, buddy. Losing our stuff here. Alright. Keep on going around, keep on going around. This is what really helps to have a second set of hands. So I decided to make this video during the daytime, so it's ready for dinner. And it also at work. Alright. Alright, so it's looking good, nice and round. Check on this side, we got nice and round. Alright. Make sure that the string you use is like butcher's twine or something like that. That's it's natural fibers. It's not like plastic or any kind of thing that could cause cancer or any kind of disease. So you want as natural as possible. All right, as you can see, we now have a round ribeye. Looking beautiful. Although I'm going to be putting my rib roast right on the rack, I will season it in this pan so that the seasonings that miss drip down to the bottom. I'm going to start by seasoning the bottom first. And I like to start with the big stuff first. So first off, we're going to do some fresh ground black peppercorns. Thyme can be very, very pungent and overpowering, so you don't want to put too much on it. You want just enough to sprinkle the whole thing and coat it. Sprinkle some of that oregano on there, some parsley flakes. Then I'm going to move on to a little bit of celery seed. Not too much, it's just a little bit. Some fresh ground peppercorn medley, which is just pink peppercorns, white peppercorns, and coriander. Although it doesn't usually need it, I'm going to use a little bit of meat tenderizer because, you know, tenderizes the meat even more. And it's mostly just salt. That's probably what the main thing is. And this for a little smoke flavor, I'm going to add some smoked sea salt. Sprinkle on some more garlic on top. This is granulated garlic, by the way, not garlic powder. A little bit of onion powder. Some smoked Spanish paprika, or just any kind of smoked paprika you have. Alright, and last but not least, a little bit of ground mustard. Mix it up a little bit. And we're going to pat it on so that it sticks. Alright, now I'm going to flip it over and do it all over again. Now I'll sit on top of the bones for a minute. Take my seasonings that fell off, give them a good mixing. Then I'm going to get this. See how there's nothing on that side? Well, boom. Now there is. And once again, get the ends, soak up all that goodness. Soak up all the goodness on this end. Alright. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to put a tiny bit of olive oil on top of the rosemary so that it helps the oil seep into the roast. And a little drizzle. That'll help make it crisp. You don't have to do that because the fat kind does that. Since it removes the fat off, this olive oil will help it crisp up a little bit. So we're going to put this piece of meat on the rack in the oven, and we're going to put this one in this pan underneath the rack. We're going to lay in our pan a little coating of olive oil to show that this stuff doesn't stick to it. And we're going to place some of these in here. I'm going to pop some of them apart. Put a couple of carrots in there. A couple of garlics. These are big, so I'm only putting 4 of them in here. Some celery. Cut some of these big guys in half. Alright, and then I'm going to take these ribs and I'm going to set it right on top of there, okay? And that's where our broth is going to come from. So this is going to go in the bottom of the oven, and this is going to go on the rack above it. It's going to drip right into here, so we don't waste anything. Usually I would use fresh mushrooms, but I didn't have any, so I'm just going to pour these sliced canned mushrooms in. I know, I'm going to hear it in the comments section now. But if you don't have it, you got to use what you have. And what I'll do is I'll put the bay leaf underneath the ribs so that it doesn't get burned, it stays moist. Alright, time to go in the oven. Putting the meat right on the rack. Oh man, she's gonna get mad when she tastes how delicious this is. Hopefully she won't mind. Now hopefully all these drippings will go right into the pan below and there'll be no mess. And we have it at 225 and we'll let it sit there for several hours until the internal temperature reaches between 130 and 135 for delicious medium rare center cut prime rib. It doesn't go by time, it goes by temperature. So it depends on how long it takes. It might take 4 hours, it might take 6 hours. But you can't really time it. You can time it and have temperature off. So you really have to keep an eye on it. And once your instant read thermometer says 130 on the inside, then you're ready to take it out and slice it. And it'll continue to cook and get higher. So 130 minimum, you're good to go. At 4 hours, you should check. So we're going to pull this baby out, stick her, and see what she says. And let's see if we can get this baby to focus. Perfectly seared, evenly cooked. remove the string. We have a beautiful prime rib.